Hey folks, Bill Meeks here. Very excited to chat with you all today. This is my second of two. This has been a crazy where I'm from morning, so bear with me if I'm a little loosey-goosey. Keep in mind, this is a live recording of a edited thing I'm going to release in a couple weeks. So there will be flubs, there will be dubs, there will be misspoken-ins, all that kind of stuff. So just bear with us and be patient. But I'm really excited to bring our guest on today, but I thought you might want to learn a little bit more about her first. So I edited this little intro video to give you some info. So watch this and then we'll be right back with Kelly.
What is the URL?
Well, for the streams, it's my YouTube channel at Bill Meeks LA.
Enter that in the chat, and I'm gonna copy and paste it.
Yeah, sure. One second. See if I can put. Oh, hold on.
I was just able to see a little bit of the video. Hi, I'm Kelly, and this is my friend Chica.
Nice, and we're coming on now. And I'd like to welcome to the show Kelly Vrooman. How you doing, Kelly?
Hey, I'm so good. Ah! Oh wait, stop. Oh no, can you hear that on my computer?
I can't hear it. You were just playing the video from us, right? Well,
Yeah.
It's a really good show, Kelly. So I'm glad you're watching.
Well, what I like to do is have people watch children's programming, whether they like it or not.
Nice, but so great to have you back on. We haven't talked since you came on to be our guest for Central Florida Sketch Festival. Yeah,
That's right.
CFL
That's
Sketch Fest.
right. Yeah. That was fun
go
times.
ahead. Yeah, I would like to thank you because there's actually at some point during the stream you gave me a compliment about how awesome everything was, and I put it in my my professional reel now, so it's gotten me work. So thank you.
What? Oh my gosh.
Actually, right up top here, I'm going to give you the opportunity to pay me another compliment that I can use to get more work.
Okay, great. Wait, hold on. I'm posting this right now.
Okay.
Live streaming now. Here. Okay, great. Okay, great. Post. Okay, what?
Remember, flubs and dubs, folks.
This is great content.
It is. It's naturalistic.
It's natural. We're all feeling good. Okay, so
I was
what was
begging
the
for
question?
a compliment. I was begging for a compliment that I can use in my next reel.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay, so just any compliment up to me right now?
Yep. Up to you.
Okay. First of all, no podcaster has better looking glasses than Bill Meeks.
Thank you. I try. I think that's a really good clip. Go ahead and just give me one more, but say it was a very wise decision to get those glasses because they really make you stand out.
Okay, Bill, it was such a wise decision for you to get those glasses because they really make you stand out.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. You didn't have to say that.
I did. You've sent a very big, intimidating looking man that is standing right off camera doing this.
That's Charlie. He's pretty nice. If you give him a peanut butter sandwich, he probably won't do anything.
I don't have any peanut butter. And even then, the chances are still a maybe.
Okay, for the next guest, I'm going to make a note here. Send them peanut butter before the show. Nice. Okay, Kelly. Well, we're here to talk today about Mansfield, Ohio. Where you grew up.
Yeah. I grew up in Mansfield, Ohio, which in recent years I was actually grew up in a little village that was like a part of Mansfield, Ohio,
Hmm.
and it was kind of just like a school district called Ontario, and
Uh-huh.
it ended up getting big enough and like where all the new businesses came to that now it is its own town. So the fact that I grew up in Mansfield, Ohio is now like it no longer exists where I lived. It's now Ontario, Ohio. And it's kind of a bit of a weird identity. Like now you have to be from Ontario, Ohio. And I'm like, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am anymore.
And I don't have access to time travel, so I can't go back and change it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead. I've always been a bit of a theater kid, and you mentioned some theater stuff, so obviously we're going to go there first.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned you got your start doing theater in Mansfield. So first off, what kind of led you to want to be on the stage?
Oh gosh. I think it was fortunately just kind of constant encouragement from people who were like, you should do this. Uh like meaning like I was in kindergarten and there was a play and they were putting on like the little like kindergarten production and they were like, "Well, Kelly can stand up in front of people and not poop her pants or vomit. So let's make her Little Miss Mouse." So my first stage performance was me as Little Miss Mouse, where
Nice.
it was just a mouse that had to like crawl under a mushroom while we all sang a song about rain. And then later that year, there was Chicken Little. And
Hmm.
or no, the little red hen, and I was not the little red hen. So that's when I was like, oh, I don't just automatically get all the leads. I've got to work for it. So I then was one of the babies, and we were given like when she made the bread, and she was like, "Well, fine, no bread for you. I'm going to give it to my babies."
Hmm.
I loved the bread that they got so much. I dug in and just like fistful of bread and like shoved it in my face. So for me, early early stage performance involved instant stardom and great food. And I think that's honestly what has just kept me going is those little times of being like, oh, I get to be a star. I get to have people tell me I'm great, mixed with, ooh, they feed you really well.
See, it can kind of set you up for disappointment a little too, like having those very early theatrical successes. Like, for example, I in first grade, I was Thumper in Bambi.
Oh, oh gosh, yes.
And it didn't go well
Oh,
because I hadn't learned about projection yet, so it was a constant struggle. There were like three lines. They made me like walk all the way across the stage to get a microphone to deliver
oh
them,
no.
and it put me off theater until I was like 14 or 15 years old. I was like, that's enough of that, man.
Oh no. Oh yeah, no, that's hard. That's intense.
Do you have any early theater horror stories like that?
I not really. I think another reason it kept me going, I'm a person that is a high functioning, very afraid person. And I
Hmm.
and I fortunately I just exist. I function very well with a lot of anxiety. And so I think I just got used to like, well, I should want to do this. Well, I mean, this is what other people want to do, so I should do it. And I just kept like suffering through it.
Hmm.
Fortunately, without a ton of bad stuff happening that would have just made me stop and
Yeah, yeah.
become a lawyer or a doctor. I don't know why I'm like, or become one of those stupid professions, those ones that dummies become, a lawyer or a doctor.
Dumb doctors. Who needs them, right? No.
That's
By the
right.
way, I will say over in the chat, Bobby Hawk's in there. Hi, Bobby. He says the sound's a little weird. I'm not sure what's going on, but it is coming through correctly on my end. So I'm getting a good recording. So,
Oh, okay.
uh,
Do I sound okay?
yeah, you sound fine to me, which means you sound good to the recording. So worst case scenario, I pull this
Okay.
live video and post it after. So not a big
Okay.
deal.
Okay, great.
So in Mansfield, was theater sort of a big thing, or was it more of like your friends and your parents would come and that was about it?
No, it was actually a big thing. So in the little town of Mansfield, there is a big, beautiful theater, which is it's like the most central, big, gorgeous theater in Ohio. And so that's where they would always hold the Miss Ohio pageant. And there would be like basically anything big that came through central Ohio would go to the Mansfield Renaissance Theater. And it was
Mhm.
that like gilded, beautiful, ornate, classical theater. And they kept really good care of it. So I was fortunate to grow up being able to go see theater in like a just a I think, and I haven't been there in a long time, but I would say, I mean, at least at the time I saw it as a very much a world class, like very
Yeah.
like a reason to be very proud. And the local productions would be put on by the local branch of the Ohio State University Theater, and
Mhm.
big choruses and symphonies and stuff would come through. So I got some really early great education. And I my first experience too was at this little Mansfield playhouse, which was the local community theater, and they would put on youth productions. So I'd get to
Mhm.
do that. And I mean, I remember audiences being pretty packed, but I also think at the time I didn't care whether or not the audience was packed. For me, it was just like, oh my gosh, yay. Oh,
Mhm.
it's right before the show is starting, and the anticipation and the excitement and like the tingly all over
Yeah.
the body. I mean, I was hooked.
Mhm.
And I
See,
think Mansfield was a big, yeah, they were just super supportive of the kids, at least in the youth productions. And then later when I was in high school and I did some of the like adult productions that would
mhm.
perform at the Mansfield Renaissance, uh we had pretty good crowds.
See, I don't know about you, and obviously you have a lot more on stage experience than I do. But for me, like, I kind of have to like block the audience out. I have to like not
Mm.
think about them beyond just like a general sense of how they're sounding. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like if.
It's hard when you're, especially when you're doing comedy and the
Mhm.
crowd is uh quiet.
Mhm.
You have to go, yeah, I mean, you do have to question, because you do have to, at least with comedy in a sense, chase the laughter. Because if people aren't laughing, what you're doing isn't resonating with them. I mean, sure, there's a chance that literally everyone in the audience is a thinker, not an
Mhm.
outward laugher, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's rare. Yeah.
And that silence is so important too, as a bit of like negative feedback. I know I've done like improv shows and stuff where like I would say one thing and like the room would just go cold. Like there was like chatter, hustle, bustle, and then immediately cold. I'm like, oop, that was the wrong move in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I found that whenever I'm mean spirited,
Hmm.
it doesn't play well. So I'm rare. I mean, I haven't. That's like I never go there because it just for me doesn't read well. I can't. I'm not a Bill Burr. I'm not a one of those people that people are like, yeah, come be mean to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, and I think the thing that kind of got my class turned against me when I was doing the scene was I forget, it was one of those games where it's like an interrogation and you have to guess who the person is or whatever. And the name was
Sure.
Sarah Jessica Parker,
Uh-huh.
and like I was thinking Jessica Parker, square peg, Sex in the City. Oh, I heard like three people call her like a horse face. I'm gonna use horse, and then like, ooh, the room turned on me. It was
Yeah.
bad news bears.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard because comedians do, especially when you're improvising. You're like, the first thing that comes to mind, and here I go, and you're told not to think or not to question yourself and to just
Hmm.
act. But the difference between novice improvisers and then very experienced improvisers, which you are now much more of an experienced improviser, right, than you were when you did
Yeah,
that, is that you
absolutely.
learn to make that filter happen in nanoseconds.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's just like once you wander into kind of an uncomfortable corner like that, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay away from that. No horses, no Sarah Jessica Parker
You know
in
what?
any improv scene.
I'm never going to talk about women ever again. You just go extreme.
But then that's the other way, and then people get mad. Why is he never talking about women in his scenes? Like
He's so
someone was
sexist.
someone was like, "What about your mother?" And you were like, "I don't have a mother. I don't trust female parents."
Like, wow, he went the other way. In the other cool thing about being from Mansfield is that at one point when I was little, it's a farm, it's a it's a little city surrounded by farmland and Amish country and
Mhm.
apple pie and baseball. And it's that very I loved growing up in Mansfield. It had so much of a Americana feel to it,
Yeah.
mixed with some pretty extreme poverty. People who are like also fighting for their rights, but their yard is also full of like old cars
Yeah.
that don't work anymore. But those are their cars, and don't touch my cars, America. And I was a big sucker for like wanting to get out there and make something of myself, and not, I think, not be stuck in Mansfield. I don't think I ever would have seen it as being stuck in Mansfield until I left, but
Yeah.
I think there was a little part of me. And one of the early things I did is speaking of the Miss Ohio pageant, is there was a commercial out that was like, "Do you want to be famous? Come join the Miss Ohio teen pageant." And I was like, "Oh, okay, oh my gosh, maybe I could be somebody with the Miss Ohio teen pageant." So my parents were very
Yeah.
supportive. They were never like, "That's dumb. It's an expensive entry fee. Anybody can join. This isn't actually your way to make anything of yourself." They were just like, "Okay, we'll support you." So I I paid $30 or whatever. Maybe I think it was like $130, which for us in the 90s was a lot of money. And
Yeah.
I joined the Miss Ohio teen pageant, where I wore the dress that I just wore for a school dance. Although we didn't have dance because I went to Mansfield Christian High School and elementary
Ah.
school and junior high. And so there was no dancing ever.
So it was a school stand across the room and stare at the other half of
It,
the
it was
classroom.
a come, have dinner or snacks, and stare at each other across the room. Yeah, exactly. But they did have dinner and snacks and decorations. You could take pictures. There was lots of pictures to be taken together. And so, yeah, I joined the Miss Ohio teen pageant, and out of, honestly, it was a lot of girls, because anybody could join, anybody could participate. You just had to pay the fee and buy a dress or whatever.
Yeah.
I won best speech, mostly written by my mom. I won best interview.
Nice.
I did
Well,
not.
that pretends well for what we're doing today. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, yeah. Except for now, I'm just saying all the time because I'm a new mom and I'm so tired. I have two kids that are both 2 and under, and I'm just like, I don't sleep, so I say a lot right now.
Yeah.
But the Miss Ohio teen pageant, yeah, I did end up in the top 20. And for sure, of all the girls in there, I was voted Miss Personality, which was their version of Miss Congeniality, which I later interpreted that none of them saw me as a threat. They all knew I wouldn't win, and I was too goofy and short. Everyone that was there in the top 20, other than me, was like statuesque. And one of them went on to become Miss Ohio later, Natalie Whitwer or something like that. Whitmer?
And you will get your revenge eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna take her down. Ever since then, my life has been wanting to take her down.
I
Not
mean,
at all.
you could just see the hate in your eyes. It's fine.
I have so much hate for people that succeed.
Well, you must really hate yourself then, because you've had a very storied career. No.
I'm enjoying my life for sure.
Yeah, actually, like I don't necessarily like to get into like I was browsing your IMDb and was really impressed with all the various projects, but I was browsing your IMDb and I was really impressed with all the various
Oh,
projects.
thanks. I think I don't do a very good job of being like, "Hey, everybody, world, here's what I'm working on. Come think I'm cool." Wow, even the way I said that had a lot of judgment, didn't it? Like I really judge
Yeah.
people that do that, but I don't. I appreciate when other people do that because I'm like, "Oh, cool, you're on this thing. I want to watch you on that thing." But I
Yeah,
don't.
it's always
Yeah.
very awkward, and even just like this podcast, like tweeting out a million times this morning because I was going live a couple times with it. I'm always like, "I'm sorry, guys. I know it's promotion, but I got to, so someone will come watch."
But I got to. Gosh. Well, I think that's where are you from originally?
Well, I've been around. I was born and raised in Katy, Texas, and then we
Oh,
moved to
Katy.
Katy.
Yeah.
Katy. That's actually who I was talking about with what I was talking about with the previous guest.
Wow. How embarrassing. This is awkward. Talking about a previous guest with your current guest. This is
So
yikes.
you're the better guest. You're the better.
Oh, good. I'm your soulmate guest.
But but then like the biggest chunk of time I had, which was end of middle school, high school, and college, was not too far from Ohio in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, Wheeling, West Virginia, man. That's right over the border there, in the little bit part that pokes up in between
Yeah, it's
Ohio, right?
well, the way we always explained it when people would ask us is anyone from Wheeling will like do a middle finger and be like, "We're about right there," because
That's
that's the
it.
shape of the West Virginia state.
Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. How have I never heard that growing up in Ohio? But I think those of us, that have a big influence of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, we're even different than the Midwest people of Minnesota, Wisconsin. I feel like the people that have that extreme cold as their
Hmm.
like one of their identifying features, they have a
Yeah,
toughness to them that those of us from Ohio, West Virginia, Indiana don't have. Western Pennsylvania, like we have a little bit of a oh, just a general kind of I'm sorry. Like, and it's not even Canada that's like, oh, I'm sorry, where it's like, I know you're going to forgive me, but it's still this kind
yeah.
of like, I, just forgive me, please. Like, I don't even know, at least for me, like the way I approach pretty much all of my relationships are like, hi, I really want you to like me. I really want this to go well. I really want you to be happy. What can I do? And I'm just going to start from a place of like servitude. And maybe I don't
Yeah.
know. There's
No,
this
that
like inherent
that's
thing
funny
built in
you
me.
mentioned that because when I've had corporate gigs and stuff, one of the big problems they've always had with me is I was very willing to fall on my own sword. Like, so there's a problem. Yeah, it was my fault. Let's deal with it and
It
move
was my
on.
fault. Let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But also, yeah, I think there's like also this like farmer pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you get it done type thing. That's a really cool
yeah.
determination, which my
Hmm.
hometown of Mansfield growing up, we so many of my friends, like all the kids that I perceived as having money, their parents worked at GM, at the GM plant. There was a big old GM plant when it was put in the mid-century of the
Hmm.
1900s. They built a ton of small homes because that's all people wanted at the time was small homes, and then
Yeah.
those small homes were now inhabited by other people with quote unquote worse jobs. But the GM people were like the ones that I knew that had nice homes and new construction and stuff. And then it closed. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden, so many of my friends had this instant instability in their life. And for me, fortunately, my dad still works. He's retired, but he goes in and does part-time stuff for them too. His place never closed, and I had this incredible gift as a child of having my parents have stable work. I mean, when that
Hmm.
happened, though, it definitely showed me that life is not guaranteed, stability is not guaranteed. You could go from
Yeah.
being a person on top to being a person that doesn't know where their next paycheck is coming from, and that was hard, but I think an incredibly valuable life lesson.
Yeah, and it very much reminds me of in Wheeling and Weirton when the steel mills closed in the
Oh
'90s,
yeah, yeah,
because the whole town ran on it. The bars were supporting the workers
right.
after hours, and it just it happened maybe 2 or 3 years after we moved there, and it was just interesting, sort of over the course of 3 or 4 years, watching the economy just kind of
Yeah.
down, 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 and I don't know if it ever really recovered in Wheeling. I know there's a lot of good-hearted people trying to make it come back, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
There last time when I went to Mansfield, okay, so modern Mansfield, downtown Mansfield has had a beautiful revitalization happen.
Hmm.
Like there is this really cool wine shop where you go downstairs and you like actually are like drinking wine among the wine barrels in this wine
Ooh.
cellar. It's rad. And then there's the downtown like main block has this beautiful white gazebo and they've really made it this like beautiful garden area. They've
Hmm.
they've done a lot of cool things that I think are like, oh my gosh, a Hallmark movie needs to film in downtown Mansfield. It's
Yeah.
really idyllic right now. But then Ontario, which is now where I'm from, who am I?
Hold
Uh
on, let me cross out Mansfield and put
yeah.
Ontario in the
Ontario,
title.
Ohio. It that's where like the mall was, and then it built out to be that's where the Walmart came, and the Target and the Meijer and the Sam's Club all came to Ontario, and so that then became where all the restaurants and the Applebee's and the when I got married, my husband and I got married in the middle of the woods in Asheville, South Carolina, with just our parents who had never met before and our siblings and their spouses, like no nieces, nephews, no, there were a couple like aunts that we would have liked to have been there. But it was just so super, super small and super immediate. But
Yeah.
we then did a local like Mansfield, Ohio wedding for all of the people. My husband grew up in Indiana. He's from Oregon, but grew up in Indiana. And we did a local thing there. And afterward, we were like, what's open? We need an after hang. Where do we go? Guess where we went? I'm going to give you three guesses.
Three guesses.
Three guesses. Where did we go for a late night hang in a small town in
Uh,
Ohio?
I would assume the local bar,
Okay, be more specific.
um, the local sports bar.
Think chain restaurant.
Uh, oh, what are the ones that are in Ohio?
Think
Is
chain
it
restaurant that is everywhere.
at Applebee's?
Yes!
I got it.
You got it on the third guess. Freaking Applebee's is where we had our after party. And I will tell you, my friends that
Nice.
came from out of town, that came from Philadelphia or LA, were digging the jam of the Ontario, Ohio Applebee's. I mean, there's something about it that you were just like, I cannot believe I am in absolute formal attire, chilling at 1 a.m., shoving apps in my face, drinking giant 28-ounce tubs of margarita, and just loving my life. And we just took over. I mean, everybody was like loving it. Some game from who knows what year is on all the screens. Gosh, it was awesome.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of the interesting thing about Applebee's is when someone suggests Applebee's, you're like, Applebee's, okay. But once you're there and you've had a couple drinks in you, it's like, okay, this is my Applebee's. This is my
you
place.
own it. It is your place. It is truly the cheers. It is the universal cheers of it. I think Midwest America, definitely of Ohio, any
And,
city in Ohio.
And drinks are priced to overindulge, definitely.
Absolutely, they are. They are there to serve the college student, the sports lover, the recent divorcee. I mean, they are. Applebee's is there for you.
Yeah. They give you enough well drinks that the appetizers seem really, really tasty, and then it's just like that's how they make their money.
Yeah, but if you honestly, I would beg to differ that the appetizers are really tasty. They are packed full of whatever junk and trash our bodies are not supposed to have, but just crave, and I'm sure will hurt us evolutionarily going forward.
And then it's like a cycle because like you have like the fat and the salt, and then that makes you really thirsty, so you grab the drink, and then you're like, oh, I'm hungry again, and then you eat, and it vicious cycle.
Honestly, I don't know how we ever leave Applebee's. Now that you're saying this, it is like it is a pit of, what is it when it's called? A vortex. It's a vortex. Ah! This
A fun
episode is
vortex.
called Kelly Vrooman and the Applebee's Vortex.
Excellent. I'm gonna write that down right here. All right, Kelly. So, does Mansfield have any sort of like local urban legends or scandals or true crime issues or anything?
Yes, it does. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm excited.
Mansfield, Ohio. I'll tell you my first introduction to it. It was such a hot summer day. We didn't have air conditioning in our little ranch style home yet on our 2.5 acres. And so we're all laying in mom and dad's room because they had a big box fan. And we're watching on our TV. Again, was not raised with much money. So everything was pretty low, and
Yeah.
we're watching on TV, and the antenna is going just so we can get reception of the local channel. And I see this little boy take what I came to learn later is a witness stand, and he stands up and says, I believe my father killed my mother.
Ooh.
So this scandal was this doctor had his wife had gone missing. Come to find out, as the police are investigating, he had a mistress, and the mistress and he had taken off, and they had like a vacation home in Pennsylvania. I may be getting some of these facts wrong, but this is what I remember. Turns out, in his home, which you can still drive by the home and go, that's where the doctor, oh my gosh, Dr. Boyle, hold on.
Dr. Google.
I'm murder in Mansfield, Ohio. Oh my gosh, here it is. Dr. Boyle, I was correct. Okay, so awesome. Dr. Boyle, like, oh, that's Dr. Boyle's house. Turns out his wife, he had killed her, buried her in the basement. Ooh. He had gotten a jackhammer. This is how they tracked him down, is he had rented a jackhammer, traced it back to the house. There was newly poured cement underneath a rug, underneath a bookshelf or bookcase, and he had buried her there. And the little boy was if I remember correctly, in the house, heard the scream, didn't know where his mom was. His dad was always a very be a man boy. And this boy was like a sensitive little boy and was very close to his mom, not close to his father. And at 10 years old or however old he was, incredibly articulate, incredibly smart, gets up and has to testify against his own father. A documentary came out that this kid helped. I mean, now he's an adult, like in his 40s probably, basically doing a documentary now as an adult. His father kept writing him letters, and finally was like, okay, I'm gonna go see my dad. And it's a fascinating documentary for someone from Mansfield. I think it would be a good documentary for anybody, because you're with the trauma of a kid who has, through therapy, I mean, he's done therapy for years and years and years. He wants to live a good life. He himself has not become an abuser and a psycho like his dad, as a complete narcissistic psycho. But oh my gosh, yeah, like, for me, that was my onset into loving true crime. Because it's like, there's a kid having to testify against his own dad, and he's doing it with no remorse and shame, knowing he's putting his dad in prison for life because he knows his dad killed his mom. Like, that's crazy. And that's his house.
Mm-hmm. Like, super dramatic situation, because like, you have the two people you trust and count on most in the world. Yeah. One of them's gone and the other one did it, and now you have to like stand against that. Oh man, it's like, that's a quagmire.
It is it is a moral quagmire. I think for the kid, it was less of a quagmire than we think, because his dad was a butthead. His dad was a jerk, and he knew it. And now this person that he loved, his precious mother, is gone. Oh man, dark. Plus, and that did also incite for me a deep fear of losing my parents.
Well, so I think that's a healthy fear to have. That's okay. That's emotionally okay.
Like, I, for my entire childhood, could never say goodbye to my parents because I was convinced they were going to die in a car accident or they were going to be dead. They were just, every time I said goodbye, I was like, and I'll never see you again.
Well, at least oh no, this is bad to say. At least that way you'd eventually be prepared for it if it happened. I'm sorry, I just said that.
I know. You're horrible.
Yeah, I know.
So Sarah Jessica Parker horseface is what you just did. So no.
Yeah, basically.
But here's the fun thing: talking about Mansfield Renaissance. Ooh, full circle. So I'm doing George M. Cohan. George M. is a play about the guy that wrote like, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. And of course, being from Mansfield, Ohio, everybody was like, that's Americana. Wave those flags. I love these songs. I want to go see this musical. It's packed all the time. People loved it. So I'm doing George M. I think it was George M. Anyway, we were given dance partners, and I was assigned a dance partner, and I was like, oh, this guy's cute. Who's this guy? Oh, he's older. He's college or even college graduate. And I was like a senior in high school, newly broke up from my high school boyfriend. I was like, ready. And this, found out later, was the son whose dad killed his mom. He was my dance partner. Wow. Yeah.
Was he a good dancer at least?
He was, yeah. He was a good dancer. He was very handsome. He was kind. He did quit the show, though. I don't remember why. Maybe he was bullied for being like, oh, your dad killed your mom. I don't know.
Yeah.
If so, that sucks.
just like percolating severe emotional trauma or something,
Oh,
Okay.
maybe that. Maybe it was just
Yeah.
him having to exist in a world in which his dad killed his mom. Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, that could make it a little hard to make it to rehearsal sometimes.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Nice. We do have over here in the chat room, Trash Can Man says, Kelly, we miss watching you in the morning on Sunny Side Up.
Oh, thank you so much. Y'all fine. I'll give you the code to my security cameras at my house, and you can just watch me now. Watch
Excellent.
me in my house.
Well, I don't know what time it is where Trash Can Man is, but it's
Yeah.
morning here, so it's kind of like a mini reunion episode, right?
That's
Except I
great.
wasn't there. But
We
yeah.
did go until noon, East Coast time, so it's almost noon here, West Coast time.
Excellent.
So in some bizarro world, we're doing this. I had so much fun on that show. It again, this is the Where I'm From podcast, so I'll keep tying it back to Mansfield, Ohio. But
Yeah.
the set for this was in a little barn on a little farm, and it felt. I mean, I grew up. My grandpa had horses that he kept at his friend's barn, and we would go ride horses, and I grew up like swinging on an old rope swing that was in the top part of a barn, and our little set on the Sunny Side Up show was a barn, and the co-host was a chicken, and it felt I felt very home there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, apparently, with how much love you have from, for example, Trash Can Man, like,
First of all, Trash Can Man, freaking awesome handle. Trash Can Man. It could mean so many things.
well, since we've kind of touched on that anyway, I have it a little bit later in my interview, but I'll edit this to where it makes sense chronologically. Why don't you
Okay.
talk a little bit about your journey to become a kid show host, right?
All right. Well, did all the theater in my little hometown of Mansfield, Ohio, and then when I graduated from college, I got my first gig was working at a Renaissance fair in central Pennsylvania. Actually, it's kind of like eastern Pennsylvania, so it was only about an hour and a half outside of Philly. I
Yeah.
worked at a Renaissance fair. I walked around in a corset, not in a sexy way. I was a lady in waiting, and my collar was like up to my neck, but I still had to wear a corset underneath it. So there was absolutely no cleavage, no shape to me whatsoever. So imagine a box, and that was me. And I just had so much fun. I did improv. The reason I took the job, again, I'd never been to a Renaissance fair, had no idea what I was in for, had no idea how many kilts I would see. But it got me close to Philadelphia, and that was a big city. And I took the job because I was also going to be doing Shakespeare. So I built up my resume with some Shakespeare. I then was like, well, I'm going to move to Philly. I moved to Philly. I almost pretty immediately got a commercial agent. So I started auditioning for commercials there. I then formed a good relationship with one of the casting directors who thought of me when the job for Sprout came up for the Sunny Side Up show. And they were casting all over the country. They were looking in Chicago, New York, Orlando, and Philly. And so I guess all over the East, Central and East, not nowhere West. We don't care about you. Get out of here.
They
West
have
Coasters.
unions out there. We can't afford people.
Can't afford that. It was definitely a non-union gig. And so, yeah, they brought me in. The casting director gave me a, couple, she pulled me aside and was like, just talk normally. Everyone's talking cutesy to the camera. Like kids are idiots. Just talk like you're talking to a friend. I was like,
Yeah.
got it. So I did. I went in, my belt fell off during the audition for some reason. It just like stretched and fell off because I got it at a thrift store and it was old. And I ran with it and joked about it. We've been talking about improv. I had been doing improv for a while by that point. And so, yeah. I then booked the job and it was amazing. My first contract was, the money was not much at all for being on a national show, but the fact that I was making a regular paycheck, I called home. My mom and dad were camping at the Mohegan State Campground in Ohio with some of their friends that they still camp with to this day. And they were sitting around. I was like, I got it. I got the job. And I heard my mom go, oh, I'm here with the Boyces and the Hedricks. You guys, Kelly got a job. She's gonna make it. Like mom, until I booked a job that was gonna give me a regular paycheck, I did not know that my mom, who was born and raised in Mansfield, Ohio, was living in this complete she had been like shoving down her fear that I was going to be homeless or end up a drug addict or end up doing
Hmm.
porn or whatever in my mom's mind was
Yeah.
going to be where I was going to end up as an actor, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
had no idea of the entertainment industry at all. For that,
Yeah.
truly, all they hear are the bad stories or the, see the shows with a bunch of violence and sex and stuff. So the fact that I
Hmm.
booked a job and it was on a kids show where I wasn't going to have to take my top off or swear, those are equal things, then it was the best. It was the absolute best case scenario. And when I was leaving Sprout and moving out to LA, I know a bunch of my mom's darling Mansfield, Ohio fears came back up to the surface like, well, LA is so far away. But, then living in LA, I've been able to do a bunch of cool things. And I met my
Yeah.
husband and I now have two
Hmm.
kids and I own a home and then this cool mountain house that we get to come to. I love it. It was truly Sprout was this incredible
Hmm.
kickoff for me in teaching me how to think on my feet with the pressure of uh, thousands and thousands of eyes watching me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
with the
Especially,
pressure,
impressionable kids. Yeah.
exactly, the pressure of having to filter what I say in a way that is not only going to be appropriate, but also make sense
Hmm.
to a kid.
Yeah.
And to just have fun, to just
Hmm.
have a good time and work with a team of people to put on something that was truly, really extraordinary.
Yeah. Did you feel then, or do you now feel any pressure to kind of maintain that squeaky clean kid show host image?
Yeah, less so than before I had kids. I think now that I have kids, people are like, "Oh, she's a mom. We can forgive her. We like she's a mom, so
She's
she can
lost to us.
she's she's asexual now. She's asexual. There's nothing about her that is but also I think people are like they're a little more forgiving. Like it's a little entertaining if I've got some spice to me. I think I've gotten a
Hmm.
lot snarkier. People like to say, "Oh, you have a sassy mom energy now." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Now, go to bed or whatever. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So, I think teachers are so important to how we kind of grow up and turn out in everything. Were there any teachers in Mansfield that had a particular impact on you?
Yeah, I don't remember if I had said anything and I did I mention a specific teacher? But I will say
I don't
this.
think so.
Okay, great. My mom taught at the school that I went to. So I went to
Ooh.
I went to again very conservative family, very conservative town. Went to Christian schools from kindergarten all
Yeah.
the way through college. Okay, so very sheltered. And
Hmm.
my mom taught at my school, and I had her as a teacher in junior high. And my mom is very passionate, very animated. Students, for the most part, love her. And she had a couple students that hated her because
Hmm.
she would expect a lot of them in
Yeah.
her loving way, and especially if a kid didn't like somebody who was like very bubbly and very animated. That annoys people sometimes. I know I annoy some people for sure. I know for a fact. I
No,
know
no,
some people
no.
have told me, ugh, you're too happy all the time. I'm like, I'm not. Come sit with me in sadness. I will meet you in the darkest of places and just freaking sit there with you. I can do that's part of what makes a comedian, right? You've had trauma, you can sit in that darkness.
That's the second half of the show. We'll get there. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Yeah. But I also enjoy living my life with, for the most part, focusing on the light and the fun and like looking for things that entertain me and entertain others. But my mom, there was this kid who was a bully. I will call him Jeff, which was his first name,
Which was exactly his
which
name.
is exactly his name. I won't tell you his last name because I don't remember it. But Jeff, these are the facts, pushed me. And he pushed me because he actually said to another kid, like, watch this. I bet Mrs. Vrooman won't give Kelly detention. He came up, shoved me, and I pushed him back. So mom gave us both detentions. Mom gave us both detentions. So I got a detention from my mother. Yeah.
Did that feel at all like a betrayal, or were you like, oh, I probably kind of deserved it?
I felt hurt. For sure, I felt hurt because also as a teenager, I was not close to my mom. I was really one of those people that was like, I need to differentiate myself from my mom. I am my own person. And mom and I were we did not get along at all.
Hmm.
And so I think I felt this betrayal that I couldn't articulate, but years later, now my mom and I are very close, incredibly close. And she did it. She gave me a attention. She knew it, I did not start it. She knew it was Jeff's fault, but she knew that if she did not give me a detention, I was going to be bullied worse.
Yeah,
And this
because
kid,
then
it was already, the bullying was already pretty bad.
yeah, it's like the appearance of impropriety kind of thing. Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, she didn't get detention because her mom's the teacher or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I would have not gotten detention because I was shoved hard and just pushed back. Well, I don't know. Maybe I would have given me a detention. Like, it's like the second blow is the one that starts the cycle.
Yeah. One maybe both people could walk away from.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It takes someone to not push back.
All right. Well, in the contact we had before the show today, and even already in the show today, your grandfather's come up a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your grandfather and kind of what he meant to you growing up?
It's interesting because my grandfather grew up in Mansfield, grew up very poor, grew up during the Depression. He was born in 1926. He grew up in downtown. Like I can point to the corner where his house stood, and now it's a parking lot, and has been for years and years, even before he died. He died in 2012, but he he was just this force of being so smart. He could take apart anything mechanical and put it back together, and he just would for fun. He would sit on his back patio and he would just do that while watching birds. But he was also this
Hmm.
incredible storyteller and a people person. He was an extrovert, but had a lot of what I think the skills that I attribute to introverts of being like very sciencey and very mathy. I don't know if there's actually a connection there. There's probably not, but for me, I'm like, oh, smart people are alone. They
Well,
like to be alone. They don't need me. They don't like me. Like,
you're not 100% wrong.
but my grandpa was an extrovert who also like he was also just curious about life. And it's one of those very complicated, hard things as you are a kid. You're fascinated by this authority figure who like does everything cool. He was interested in life. At one point, he bought a tape about how to learn how to Irish dance, and he was teaching himself how to Irish dance. Like, but then to also realize he was racist. He
Hmm.
was sexist.
Yeah.
The things that he would say and do, it took us a long time, I think, as kids to get the confidence to say, Grandpa, don't say that.
Hmm.
I'm not comfortable having you say that. Not only you can't say that, but don't say that around me. Like you can't say, oh yes, I can, right? Like
Yeah.
it's such a complicated
Yeah.
thing. People say,
It's
oh well,
pro-
his dad was more racist. I don't care.
yeah. And you do have to have at least a little bit of sympathy for the person on that side of it too, because it's like those attitudes were normalized a lot
Yeah,
when
right.
when they were growing up and stuff. And if someone told me today that if I have heart problems, I should eat red meat, I'd be like, no, like experts have been telling me for years, people I trust have been telling me for years that red meat will make my heart
Yeah.
worse. So it's a hard situation, but yeah, it's hard when it's someone you care about too, right?
It's wild because I mean, yeah, just the good and the bad, that the good and the bad and the ignorance and the hate and the love and the weird. He never said
Hmm.
he loved me ever. Always knew it. I always knew it, but never said he loved me until my grandma died.
Yeah.
And he, yeah, but so it's interesting that someone who brings with it such complex feelings and emotions, being raised in this small town that he never left except for when he did his tour all over the Pacific as a Marine scout in World War II. He signed up at 17, lied about his age, went all over the Pacific, had 2 or 3 Purple Hearts from
Wow.
injuries. Being sent home, he got back
Hmm.
up and went. He was on a medical ship from getting shrapnel shot into him when the war was over. And so he came home and like he and my grandma refused to marry him for another 5 years because he wasn't a Christian.
Did,
Until he accepted Jesus into his heart, grandma was like, nope,
I was gonna say,
not getting any of
wear
this.
Did she finally wear him down, or did he wear her down? No.
She finally wore him down, or at least he wanted sex bad enough that he finally was like, "I'll become a Christian."
Fine, I guess. Amen or whatever.
Amen or whatever. Yeah, but he had like these strong convictions he never took a prostitute in the war, but he said all the other guys did. But I believe it when he said he didn't. I mean, he's this man of like, he was like, I've never taken a prostitute, but I hate black people. Like these messed up ideas of what morality is. It's like, what?
Don't steal, but you can kill a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's so wild. Yeah. And so he's all going through Mansfield. I not only had my grandma, she was raised there too. So anywhere, literally every corner, every place, anywhere I could go in Mansfield has a history that my family knew about. And my grandpa he did a bunch of odd jobs. Again, so smart. If he would have gone to college, if that would have been an option for him, who knows where he would have gone, what he would have done, what he would have invented. I'm sure he would have invented some mechanical things. But there was a town a big home there called Kingwood Center. This guy, last name was Kingwood, didn't have kids, left this big, beautiful house to the town with a bunch of gardens for people to just enjoy afterward. It kind of became this like local park, I guess. And my grandfather worked there. And so I, as a kid, would like getting to see the beautiful Mansfield Renaissance Theater and then getting to go to Kingwood Center. It gave me this idea of people can have more than what I had. People can have more than what my family came from. My one great grandfather was a grocer. My grandpa's father was an alcoholic, abusive drunk who beat him a whole bunch and then died young, leaving him and his brother to be raised by my grandma, and with two sisters too, so a mom of four. There's some belief within the family that my grandmother prostituted herself in order to survive. A bunch of men came in to her house, which either they were boarders, which wasn't uncommon, or they were,
Borders.
Yeah, borders with air quotes. And then she also played piano for the silent movies. So that's super rad. But this Kingwood Center, it is an absolute point of pride for Mansfield, Ohio. If you ever go to Kingwood Center. It's not the biggest house you'll ever see, but the grounds are stunning and they're sprawling and they do a really good job of keeping it up. Now you do have to pay because the trust ran out or whatever, to just keep it free. You have to pay like $10 for a car to just go and just walk around, take a picnic. It's the most romantic thing in the world. And then just knowing that my grandpa worked there, it was always this like point of pride. Like, my grandpa worked there. My grandfather did that guy's plumbing. And it is a thing to be proud of. Plumbers are freaking incredible. And it's a very reliable paycheck.
Absolutely. And the thing I always used to tell people in Wheeling was that my grandfather helped build like the dams that were set up between the West Virginia and Ohio side.
Wow.
So I could be like, yeah, my grandfather he put wood together because he was a carpenter or something.
Yeah.
But
that's so cool.
Bragging rights, local bragging rights.
Local bragging rights. It makes me feel, well, they say you're not forgotten until your name is uttered for the last time, right? That's when you truly die.
Yeah.
So it's those stories of, the things you do in life. You don't have to be a famous, actor or whatever, famous anything.
Yeah.
If people, just the way we give to the world in whatever capacity we can.
Yep. Okay, so we have our first game here, Kelly.
Ooh!
It's a game. It's fun.
Okay.
Okay, so this game, I just came up with it a couple weeks ago. It's gone pretty well the few times I've done it. It's called Wheel of Anecdotes.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to give you a suggestion, kind of like an improv suggestion, and then your challenge is to respond with a short anecdote from your hometown. The shorter the better.
I love this game. Okay, shorter the better. Got it. I can do that.
Okay, so first up, Richland Mall.
Oh, Richland Mall. There was a Hot Topic there. I was always scared to go in, and I thought maybe they had satanic things, and it was bad. And I boycotted it as a kid with huge convictions. It also is the place where we would go, and we would just like walk around, and it was like the Pac Sun and those places, like it was where you would go and get dropped off by your parents, and you could walk around and kids who were daring enough could smoke outside.
I know at the mall where I grew up, you could smoke inside. Like they would have like security come around to
Oh
the
my
smoking
gosh,
area
you're right.
inside.
Yep, you're
and,
right. Nope,
chase the
I
kids
stand
away.
corrected. You could smoke inside. And my grandma
Yeah.
was a mall walker, and she wore this cute little like a shiny jumpsuit. And I would, whenever she would watch me, or I was home from school, or like the time in 5th grade when I got lice. Oh, when half the class got lice, and I had to stay with grandma and grandpa during the days while grandma picked nits out of my hair. And then when she couldn't handle it, we would go walk around Richland Mall.
Nice. Okay, Amish.
Amish, man, Amish people, you can't drive to Columbus without. So the way we take to Columbus from Mansfield is you go down, oh gosh, 314, and it is Amish country, and you will pass 3, 4, 5, 6 Amish buggies. You see the people inside, like, whoa, look at that. Amish people put a roof on my parents' house. They built all my parents' kitchen cabinets.
Oh,
It is
wow.
like the best, most amazing furniture. And when they come to your house, either you pay to have them dropped off in a van, or you drive to Amish country, pick them up, and you drive them back to your house, which is what my mom did for 2 reasons. She's cheap and she's just curious. So she would just like drill them about questions about their life. And she asked them,
She's
she
like, I
said,
need small talk.
yeah, she said, so Jacob, could I be Amish? And he went, ooh, you would have to greatly improve your life. And my mom is like the most pious, adorable, evangelical, Christian, conservative woman. And yet he was like, yikes, you are too bad.
There's like the religious standard, and then there's the Amish standard.
Then there's the Amish standard, man. Oh boy, yeah.
Nice. Okay, Buckeye.
Buckeye, Ohio State Buckeyes. And if you are in Ohio, you have to try the most amazing, tasty dessert ever in the history of the world. It is a packed little ball of peanut butter and powdered sugar, and it's like a grainy peanut butter fudge dipped in chocolate, and it looks like a Buckeye off of a Buckeye tree.
It's diabetes in your hands.
Oh my gosh, they're so good.
They are like, the problem with those is it's maybe it's a slogan, it's a cliche, but you really can't have just one. If there's
No,
like
you
5
can't.
of them that's sitting there,
Yeah.
you're not walking away until all 5 are gone.
And if it is truly an Ohio smorgasbord, somebody will bring them in an egg carton, so they stay separated. So it's like a freaking plastic egg carton, or like crappy egg carton, styrofoam, with those inside. It has to be styrofoam because then the chocolate doesn't stick to it. You open it up. Is it eggs? No, it's freaking diabetes.
Diabetes in a box.
So good.
All right, Blizzard.
Blizzard. Oh my gosh, my 10th birthday, there was a blizzard. I was new to the school, had a whole bunch of new friends. Our house, again, small, not decorated very nice, but my aunt lived across the street from us, and they had a very pretty house. She worked for Sprint, the local Sprint. She had money. So we were having my birthday party at her house. Snowstorm, blizzard, ice storm hits, and ice would form around the trees to be like, I mean, half an inch to an inch on top of every little like twig. And so only a few kids were able to come. And I remember my mom calling people and being like, hi, are you still able to come? Are you still able to come? And one mom was putting people on speakerphone so I could hear their voices if they couldn't come. And one of them, Megan's mom, said, excuse me, do you think I'm going to come? Can you please look outside? What do you see? And mom was like, ice. She was like, yeah, so I'm not coming, and hung up. And I sobbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. First time I heard that adults could be assholes.
Little did you know that all of them are
All the
assholes
time.
like 40% of the time. At least.
All the time, adults are assholes.
Nice. Okay, beer.
Beer. Grew up, dry family, never had beer until I was 21. I did have beer spilled on me once when I was at a Cleveland Indians game when they were the Cleveland Indians. R.I.P. Glad it's changed. Very proud of you, Cleveland. Way to go. And smelling that beer, my response was, ugh, this smells terrible. I'm never going to drink beer. I love beer now, guys. I have to go gluten-free, but I love gluten-free beer very, very much.
So that's a good lesson for all the kids out there. If you don't like beer at first, just keep trying it.
Just keep trying it.
Yeah, come on, kids. Okay, and last but not least, and this might hit, it might not, Cedar Point.
Oh my gosh, Cedar Point hits so hard. Okay,
Excellent.
picture this. It's 1999, maybe around there. It felt like it to me. There's a new roller coaster being built called the Millennium Force. Millennium Force. Yeah, not
Yes.
Millennium Falcon or whatever. Millennium Force. It is the tallest, fastest roller coaster in the world at the time. The day it opens, I want to be. I freaking love roller coasters. In my mind, I was like, God, all I want in heaven is roller coasters. There have to be roller coasters in heaven because heaven's perfect. Roller coasters, it wouldn't be perfect without roller coasters. That's how much I love roller coasters. Okay, growing up. So I was like, I am gonna be there when it opens. I'm waiting there. They open up the gates, and it is a stampede because other people love roller coasters as much as I do. Come to find out, whatever. I'm maybe the
You
number one fan now.
you
Not
are like a
anymore.
weirdo. Yeah.
I'm like motion sickness, can't handle it. I'm like,
Oh,
bleh.
really?
I'm getting to be middle aged. I'm like, yeah. So they take off, they open the door, and it was like a run and gun. Get there because at Cedar Point for a good ride, man, you can wait 3-4 hours, especially when it's like new. We are racing. I'm wearing flip flops like an idiot because who wears flip flops to ride roller coasters? But whatever. I lose a flip flop. I don't care. I don't turn around. I spend the rest of the day barefoot because I am running to the Millennium Force.
Oh, on that pavement. Ooh.
On that pavement. It is hot. I
Rough.
get there. I only have to wait half an hour because I'm one of the first people that wasn't an employee to ride the Millennium Force.
So now you have permanent scarring on the bottom of your feet, but you were there first. That's the important.
Yeah, I have terrible scars from Ohio blacktop, from grainy Ohio blacktop.
Nice. All right. Well, Kelly, I'd like to congratulate you. You have won the game. Your prize is you get to talk to me a little more.
Oh my gosh, I feel so excited. Thank you. Thank you, Trash Man Guy and
Trash can man. Trash can man.
Trash Man Guy. I knew it was 3 words.
Now
Trash Can Man.
there is some fine print on that. Before we talk more, I have to play an ad real quick. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool.
Is
So
it for
we'll play
Cedar Point?
It is not for. I'm trying to book them. If you know anyone,
Yeah.
let me know.
So rad.
All right. Quick ad from a Stream Studio, our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Where I'm From is brought to you by Stream Studio. That's STREANN Studio, the web app that puts you in charge of the live show. Stream Studio allows you to take your streaming game to the next level by allowing you to stream to multiple platforms at once. If you want to go to Twitch, if you want to go to YouTube, you can stream to all of those platforms at once, get feedback from your audience, and most importantly, it puts you in control of the show. Now, Stream Studio has several packages that work for just about any type of broadcaster. From the free plan, where you can stream with a watermark, all the way up to the gold plan, where you can have up to 8 guests. You can stream to as many social platforms as you want. You can get a web link to share your show with external audiences, and you can even get an iframe so you can embed your live stream show directly into your website. Hey, I love Stream Studio so much, I'm using it to produce this show. I want to thank Stream Studio for supporting Where I'm From, and you can give this fantastic software a spin and support Where I'm From at the same time. Just head over to our website at billmeeks.com/whereimfrom and click on the Stream Studio banner so they know we sent you their way. And we're back. I want to thank Stream Studio for sponsoring our podcast. Go check them out. Great product. Unfortunately, the one thing Stream Studio doesn't do is charge your mouse, which is why it took me a second to get back. Sorry about that, Kelly. I was like, oh no, my mouse is dead. I've been using it too much this morning, I guess.
There
All
you
right,
go.
so Kelly, what took you away from Mansfield?
Ooh, well, first college. Second, acting. Really, I wanted to do it. I didn't think I could. I was told by I didn't think I could because I grew up in a town where I didn't know anybody who had. Yeah, I didn't know anybody who had made a life or a career from it.
Yeah.
I grew up in a town that had a lot of scary stories about what happens to people when they move away.
Especially to some place like, I don't know, Los Angeles, Hollywood.
Exactly. Yeah, but I fortunately kept getting stepping stone acting jobs that kept
Hmm.
taking me to new places.
Yeah.
I love going home though. Going home for the holidays is rad. I
Hmm.
cannot go to but because my parents, my grandparents, I mean, I'm generationally from there, on my mom's side, that I can't, especially when I'm shopping with my mom, I cannot go to a grocery store or even a CVS or anything without seeing someone we know. My mom was a teacher
Yeah.
at the public school and then at the private school when I went to the private school. So we also see all people who are her students or parents of students. It's a cool
You
place
got
to
a
go
lot
home
of
to.
FaceTime in the community, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do does anyone ever bring up, the stuff you've done since you left when you come back? Like, are they
Oh
like, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, my kid watches your show," or I saw you on
Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy or whatever?
Yeah, for sure. And social media helps with that. I mean, people are able to like reach out and say things on those channels. But whenever I see anybody public too, and also in like
Hmm.
special events and stuff, when I was
Yeah.
with Sprout, they would bring me in to do like autograph signings, and I've hosted the Ohio Cable Television Awards a couple times and things as like a
Nice.
local. Definitely, my hometown is very very proud of me. I feel it, I've been in the
Yeah.
paper a couple
Yeah.
times when I do things. They like to put me in the paper.
And it sounds like they were very, or your community in general was pretty supportive of your ambition. So it's probably not a situation like, "Ha, I showed you." You're just like genuinely glad for the affection, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
People weren't telling me not to do things. They were just saying, I don't, it'll be safer if you don't. They weren't saying we don't believe in you. Oh yeah, they are the whole town really. And like the church I grew up in, so many of those people, were and are like there are some people that are just my parents' great friends that love me to this day and don't judge and just
Hmm.
support the Hedricks, the Boyces, the Money Smiths. Yeah, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, the Krauses. I can't forget the Krauses. Krauses, if you listen to this, can't forget you.
So what, you seem to get back there pretty often. What has been the biggest change since you left?
Um, it- Cuteness. It is so much cuter that I mean, it went through those growing pains of like, yikes, it's only chain stuff, everything's gross. And now there's this like, revival of wanting locally owned stuff and cute little shops. And
Yeah.
I think it's great. There are some of those tried and true things that are fortunately have not closed that just stay amazing. There is a carousel in downtown Mansfield that is
Ooh.
made with hand carved horses and animals made in Mansfield, Ohio. There used to be, I don't know if there still is, a factory. By factory, I mean it's people sitting there like whittling away to make these carousel horses.
Wow.
And my favorite little not vacation, a restaurant destination. It is a Coney dog place called Coney Island.
Hmm.
Called Coney. So people are like, oh, I go to Coney Island. I'm like, I don't think of New York. I don't think of the iconic thing everyone thinks about. I think of this little tiny hot dog restaurant that has this 1950s feel to it in
Yeah.
Mansfield.
Yeah. Define for me real quick what the difference is between like a corn dog and a coney dog.
So a Coney dog is a hot dog that has like a chili sauce on top of it
Gotcha.
it's like a chili sauce and onions.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Understood. Understood. Thank you for the clarification.
Anytime.
Nice. Okay. Oh, this was something while I was doing some research I thought was interesting. Thought you might have something to say on it. Apparently, the Ohio State Reformatory is in Mansfield, and that was the setting of the Shawshank Redemption.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
gosh. How has this not come up yet? I apologize. Yes. Mansfield, Ohio is the filming location of the Shawshank Redemption, which is kind of another reason I think I had this extreme, like, oh, Hollywood exists. Hollywood
mhm,
happened here. Movies happened here. Like, yeah, that was always kind of this really
mhm.
cool thing and like a huge point of pride for us that one of the best movies of all time
Yeah.
filmed in our hometown. And
Were,
a
were,
boy that I dated in high school, his uncle or his neighbor or somebody was one of the naked guys in the shower scene. It's in a shower scene at some point. Like, there's like, dude, that's my friend's butt.
Nice. So did you live there when they shot it? Was there like buzz around town for it or anything like that? Or
if I was alive at the time, I was too young. No, I don't remember.
Gotcha.
I mean, I just remember it in
Hmm.
later year, it being talked about later as like I think after it's been an iconic movie, and I never saw it until adulthood
Hmm.
for sure. Yeah, I never saw it until adulthood, and then I was like, whoa, what took me so long? But that would be like one of my interesting facts, like, I'm from the town where Shawshank Redemption was filmed. And very
Exactly.
sad news, the big beautiful tree
Hmm.
was felled a couple years ago. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
should have
It
been.
just
They should have put a plaque on it or something.
Well,
Come
there's
on,
the
guys.
stump, I think, is still there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like you can see the
Okay.
stump, but it was like it was felled because it am I saying it right? It was felled? Is that a thing? I think that's like
That sounds like it's some version of some
I
period of
should
English.
know.
So yeah,
I
yeah.
should know. My dad
That
has
tree
chopped
was
down and
felled.
worked
Yeah.
in trees
Now that
so
I
many times.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But it was because it got diseased, and it's no fault of anyone's other than it was a danger to itself and others.
And not a landmark, unfortunately. So it didn't have protection.
It didn't have protection. I mean, people tried.
Oh,
mean,
did
it's a
they, did they like
landmark.
chain themselves to the tree?
Gosh, I don't know. If I had been home with nothing else to do, I would have, just for the story.
The Shawshank Redemption Reclamation or project or something.
Yeah, reclamation project. I will say, if you are ever in Mansfield, Ohio, at any point, tour the old reformatory. It is wild. It is so old and cool and creepy, and you can go walk it and see it, and it's cool.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like any old prison, there's just a ton of evil spirits in there.
Ton of evil spirits. Yeah. Oh,
Speaking of, if somebody out there is for some reason going to Mansfield, what are some other can't miss attractions, restaurants, or places you think they should check out?
oh man. Oh, I don't know so many of the names of these things. I've just been. Go to the Carousel. Go to Coney Island in downtown Mansfield. Go to Kingwood Center. Probably won't mean much to other people other than the fact that it's like a neat place to go walk. There's also a couple local ski resort hills. They're just hills, but
Just
if you
hills.
like skiing and you're in Central Ohio, go to either. I don't even know if Clear Fork is still open, but but Snow Trails is there, and the Reformatory. You got to do the
Absolutely.
Reformatory. You got to do the Reformatory and the Carousel.
Nice. Well, I do have in my dock, and this is another one of those loosey-goosey things, live viewers. I do have a whole nother game in my dock. Unfortunately, I have to leave in about 5 minutes to go pick up
Okay.
my kids from school. So,
Okay.
so I don't think we'll have time for the game.
Okay.
But I would love to thank you for joining me today, Kelly. I'm sorry we couldn't do improv together. It's an improv game too. I was really excited, but
Oh, well, invite me back and I'll pretend I'm from someplace else.
well, I mean, you've been everywhere, man. Maybe
I am. I can also talk about Philly. Philly's where I owned
Yeah.
my first home. That's where I first had my adult life.
you know what? I lived in Philly for about a year. So
We could discuss Philly.
yes, I will. I seriously, as soon as we're done here, I'll email you back. In the next month or two, we'll book a episode 2 with Billy. I love
Great.
it. I
Love it.
Excellent. Well, thank you to anyone who joined us on our live stream today. If you
Thank
like
you,
the
Trash
show-
Can Man.
Yeah. I say it one more time so we can see you. You're off camera.
Thank you, Trash Can Man.
Excellent. All right. Well, if you like the show, I do highly suggest you go over to Apple Podcast or Spotify, leave an honest review that's 5 stars and says the show was perfect. So to help us get out to more viewers and everything. If you like what we talked about here, if you want to talk about where you're from, you can go ahead and shoot me an email, bill@billmeeks.com. In particular, I'm looking for people who are going home for Thanksgiving or Christmas to send me videos when they go home to show off their home, and then I'll assemble them all together into a holiday special of some sort. So again, bill@billmeeks.media. No, billmeeks.com. And you can find links to all the other episodes of Where I'm From, show notes, contact info, and a clickable link to our sponsor over at billmeeks.com/where I'm from. We generally try to go live on twitch.tv/billmeeks, youtube.com/@billmeeksla. They changed up how they did it recently. So hopefully, as we get into our December episodes, you can come back and join us. Well, that does it for this week. Join us next time when I talk to somebody else about where they're from.